you gave, a very interesting talk about at Engage, and confusion moving in like a rela from Shags. Yeah. And I I think this is where halftime comes in. Maybe you can let us in on what halftime is.
Yeah, so Halftime is a book I got from a friend. Again, at the height of my crossroad, if I may call it that, wondering what will I spend the rest of my life doing, and being very agitated and very restless about that. And it's written by an American called Bob Buford. So for the first time, I read a book that someone has put into words what I was going through, which I couldn't even describe for myself. So I read this book. This was way back 2016 or thereabout, 17. Yeah. And it made a lot of sense. Yeah. So it really shook at me so much that I figured I just can't read this book and keep it away. It's like part of those restless nights of not sleeping. You hear like a word from somewhere that tells you, that this halftime thing is probably what you're meant to invest in. In fact, I keep on saying that halftime chose me. The book chose me. I didn't choose it. So to cut the long story short, I read the book. I was heavily impacted. Said to reach out to the Halftime Institute. Apparently, there's an institute that was formed after the book because it became a bestseller in the West. And applied. I mean, would you guys consider just coming and speaking to maybe my fellow confused Kenyans who are appearing like they have it together, but yet deep within are in the closet, who are not wondering whether to turn left or right? So it went to this lady who apparently was a Halftime Africa director. I didn't even know. She lives out in Pretoria. And she came and we had a session here in 2018. I hosted her, or rather, someone. She was here on her own, but I kind of reached out to her and we put something together. And since then, we have formed the Halftime Institute, Halftime Africa, just to help, again, which became my passion, if not purpose, just to help fellow high impact Africans transition successfully from one season of life to another. You could be tired, for example, of the finance profession and you want to go and plant mangoes. How does that look like? How do you make the shift, having those conversations? But not just plant mangoes and make more money, but plant mangoes and probably it has a purpose thing, an impact thing, a legacy thing tied to it, something that we will remember you for when you're not here, because I guess we get to a point in our lives and then you ask, is this it? Someone told me that when you go to the obituaries, Jim, they don't write, this is Lucas and he owned a Subaru. No, they say he was husband of, if you have a spouse, father of, son of, and then people say about the things you did, not the things you had. And so that's what halftime is all about. So I just got really, 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 really engaged and impacted by that halftime book that right now we were able to be able to form a version of that for Africa. Because again, the context is different. It can't be copy paste. My age mate in the West has different dynamics than my age mate here. And so then how can we make this halftime program relevant and applicable to those of us here? Because more and more of us are looking to live meaningful lives, even when we are still taking kids through school and running and paying a mortgage and doing other things. And like how it's been before as a retirement thing, I've always loved teaching. So once I retire, I go teach at the local primary school. No, many of us are seeking to live significant lives much earlier, which is brilliant, by the way. And so that's what I got into. So when I became a coach in 2019 after my certification, I just thought my niche was naturally transitions, just helping people find and live meaningful lives. And I have loved, and been honored to help a number of people go through those seasons.